Hello everyone and welcome back to Chris Aquatics. Now in today's video I'm going to be doing a more in-depth tour than I did on my first sort of tour of my tanks, as this time we've done a lot more things with them. The tanks are starting to look a lot better as I put more effort into making the scapes look a bit better. Mostly, you'll see that later on, but I'm going to be going through all the tanks I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tanks in the room at the moment. I plan on setting up a 10th one soon, which will be a coming video, but that's what I have at the moment. And then I have 2 smaller jars on either side of the main 2-foot on this rack. So let's get started from the left to the right, and I'll start to you guys with the full depth tour I've got you planned. Starting off with the first tank where I edit all my videos on my desk, this is where this one's sitting. It's not a big tank, I think it's like probably 10 liters, it's not really that big at all. And it has a small cheap light from on Amazon, I think it was. And the tank is completely full of moss. It is housing the very few blue dream I have at the moment. There's a kind of like carbon really looking female in here at the moment that's buried. So see what happens with these guys. I plan on doing a proper tank for them soon, but the numbers are too small to make doing a tank that big worth it for me at the moment, especially with the amount of space I have. Now moving on to these 3 tanks on my chest of drawers, I have this one starting on the left, which is a 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter, but that includes the back section, which is a built-in filter. So I'd say it's only about 30 liters, maybe a bit more, but less than that in the front where the actual swimming room is for fish. So from the top, I have this light that comes, you can get it on Amazon. It comes with the bamboo stand. The company is called Bioscape. I don't know, I think it was a bit expensive to be honest considering the light, but it does a really good job at growing some plants, so I'm pretty happy with it. The top section has a bunch of syngoniums on it. So there's plain syngonium, and then there's different other ones, confetti in here, lemon and lime as well. There is some golden pothos in here somewhere, and this plant I forget the name of. I found it out but I've lost the name. This is monkey mouse, I think, and then it runs through to the side of the tank. This is Cebu blue pothos. That's all growing out the back of this. And then I'm fairly sure there's a bit more other types of, yep, there's another type of syngonium there. But that's all the top growth, which certainly does help with the filtration as it's just a small pump on this tank. Now going into the tank, the main scape is with some dragonstone. So there's 3 main pieces, one tall, one here, and then this piece here and that one. There's some off pieces on the side. And now from the left side you can see there's Blix here at the base. I tried a bit of, I forgot what that was, I think it was Hightech Cuba, and it didn't really go too well without CO2, so it's kind of growing but not doing too well. Bulbita sticking out with some needle leaf java fern. That's Panda, that's Anubias Panda, I'm fairly sure, the small type. That one there is Bucephalandra bradiose, Amania gracilis, I think that's how you say that back one, right there. There is also there's weeping moss in this tank as well, so you can see that right there. Tucked in, you can sort of see like it's like a trident fern, I'm fairly sure as well. There's different crypts, assorted crypts, I think they're Gwenti green and brown. I have both of them, I'm fairly sure. There's Crypt Balance in the back corner, as you can see there. The weeping moss. I have so many different types of mosses, it's really hard to keep track. This one here is mini Peleo moss as well. So I have that one. It's still trying to fill in, it's taking its time. The inhabitants mainly are my red cherries. So these are for my mate. He's a legend, he's hooked me up with these and they're really decent grade. I've been getting his culls, if you'd think of that, so you can think of how his look compared to mine. But yeah, these are really nice. I'm starting to breed them, which is really cool. The 2 fish in here are both, they're called Pseudomogul gertruidae, I think is how you say it, gerties. So I've got 2 of those. I was only able to secure 2 fries, so that's what I ended up with. I've got these 2, and I'm starting to grow them up. I'm hoping that they become a pair and I can breed them, which would be hella sick. But that's this entire tank complete. Now moving on to this tank, this is by far my favorite I own at the moment. It's a 45 centimeter Aqua 1, fairly sure it's like god, I have no clue how many liters this is. I think it's like 45, 50 maybe, something like that. There's a filter built into the back which has plants growing out of it, so we'll start with those at the top. So I have a bit of Java moss growing out of the tank up the wood. I have a Christmas star here. I love that one, but I haven't really been able to get it to grow much. It appears to be very slow growing. I have this here, which is, I think it's Monkey Mouse, and this is Moses in the Cradle. And then we have Syngonium and Mandula Pothos. And then there's also Enjoy Pothos in the back corner. The light on this is the WRGB to Slim 45 centimeter. I'll leave my settings for this down in the description for if you're interested. You can put the same settings I have for my light on yours, feel free. This tank is running on CO2, so you can see the amount I'm going for. It's really not a lot. It's really light CO2, as I don't have a checker and I need to get one, so I don't really want to over pump the tank with it. But this is the CO2 art system. It's got a solenoid, it's got like a dual valve or something, so I can set up more tanks, which I'm going to be doing in future. And I've also got the thing that holds the CO2 as well at the back. Now going in depth into this tank, it has river sand, which has been completely ruined by the peppermints that are in here. So there's 6 peppermint plecos, and then there's a mixture of white and gold clouds in this tank at the moment. The fish in here are just temporary until it warms up and I can breed them outside, and they just kind of work as a good filler. And other than that, we have aqua soil. I'm fairly sure it is master soil. Don't quote me on that, but it might be. I've either had that or Fluvol stratum in the past, but it looks like master soil to me. So I'm assuming it's master soil. The back left corner is full of different crypts. So there's crypt, I'm assuming Wendy, brown and green, as you can see. There's also green gecko, which is, I'm fairly sure that leaf there, I think it's growing out through the back as well. But I have green gecko in here. I also have pink flamingo, which is hiding underneath all this stuff. And that's most of the crypts on this side. I have Balense in the back right corner for crypt as well. I have Anubias growing on this wood. I have Pinida Fida in this tank as well. I have Bucephalandra. This is a no ID, I don't know the name of it, but that's one's also growing on the wood. Then there's S. repens underneath here. I have 2 stems of that I just recently purchased to start growing. Looks like there's a bit of pearlweed that's still growing in here as well. This tank has an Autosynclus as well. He is great for helping all the plants that get the blackbeard. He just wipes it out. He's a legend. He makes the tank look a lot nicer. I also forgot to mention there's Pinto up here, so there's Anubias Pinto as well. So there's Anubias Pinto on that. I mentioned the Java moss that's growing on the wood. It's also growing underneath as well. So you can see that. Going down in, there is Pogo Stem and Hell Fairy right there. Now there's a bunch of no ID boosters throughout the base here. More Pinida Fida as well. More no ID boosters. There's an Echinodoris at the back with that red leaf as well, mixed in along with some stems. I'm fairly sure that these stems are some sort of Rotala. Now you can sort of see the tail, that's one of my peppermints. They tend to always be hiding. Now you can also see that this is a type of moss. It's like hookeray or something like that. I tried to feed them the algae wafers for them to come out. Sometimes they do, but this time I did not get lucky. This is the no ID boost. It's on the wood over there, but it's an offcut. This is the main mother plant. It's a fairly large piece here in the front section. Then there's also boost running up these rocks. I don't know the ID of the one on the left, but I know this one's Pandora Queen, and I know that one there's Brownie Ghost. And then going further, we have another piece of Anubias Pinto. This is a Lilipus, or something starts with an L, it's like a little micro sword. There's also more no ID boosters throughout here, and there's a lot of smaller ones too. You can't really see like that one. I don't really know what they are. My mate gave them to me that he didn't want, so I'm just trying to grow them. More no ID boosters throughout here. This one I got recently, I don't know the ID of it, but I know that the one on the far right is Brownie Ghost, and the one on the far left, I don't know the ID. I don't know the idea of this front one either. There's like a longer leaf one right there that I don't know the idea of either. This is Ladoigia super red, so I have some of that. I also have Cameroon moss growing in here, which has started to grow nicely after it took a beating from Blackbeard, but I got rid of that, so that's good. We have blood red rotella. All this stuff I got recently, so it hasn't really had time to fill in. But there's blood red rotella at the back, and then I think that's rotella green. There's a couple of other different stems there as well. Amania gracilus is also in this tank. There should be some mermaid weed back there somewhere. All this is recently planted, this whole back right corner, so it hasn't filled in yet. Pieces of I think Wendy Brown crypt are in the back right as well, sort of threaded through. You can sort of see one of the peppermints. You never really see the whole thing, you just see a tiny bit of it stick out. There's also 2 pieces of Borbida sticking out. This one's not doing too well, but this one's starting to fill in on its rhizome, which is awesome. But that's almost everything. I'd say that's everything in here. I've tried to fill it out as much as possible, and I'm always getting more plants for this and getting rid of other ones. So this is always a work in progress, and it's never gonna look the same. Now this tank is one big work in progress. I can say, for example, the top light here, I'm not a big fan of it. It's the B series of Chihiros, and I don't know why, just to the touch, this thing's like the sun, man. Like, you touch it and it's like gonna burn you, so you don't want to touch that too much. It's kind of just not a fan of this light anymore. I'm planning to get the WRGB Slim for this tank and this tank as well, and I'm probably going to sell this light, keep that one. But yeah, I'm trying to upgrade all my tanks with lights at the moment so that they're mostly all full spectrum. But this tank's done really well. It's just, I had to remove a bunch of fish as I wanted to clear it out and get other things, and ended up having to tear the tank out to catch said fish. So the tank is very, very stirred up and does not look great. The inhabitants that are staying, I have 2 angels, these 2 right here. I have a 3-spot gourami that I don't know where it went. I sold off all my other gouramis as I didn't want to cause any aggression. I had a little bit of aggression that I spotted, and I just got rid of them straight away. I didn't want to have any problems. But I've got my 3-spot. I sold off a pearl, I sold off another 3-spot, and I sold off a thick-lipped. And I got rid of a paradise fish. There's one more paradise fish in here still. There's a handful of Siamese algae eaters, and there's one big yellow suckerfish. There's a handful of neons that are kind of just living out their days in here, but there's nothing too special about that. And there should be some shrimp lying around somewhere if they don't get eaten by the gouramis. Well, I should say gourami and angelfish. So looking in this, you can see at the top, I tried peace lily back here, and it's done decently well. The thing that's annoying is the leaves keep getting burned by this damn light, and it's completely decked a lot of my plants. A lot of my nice syngoniums, I have to be careful that they don't hit the light, but then I can't really hold them up too well, which is annoying. So it's kind of just a work in progress, this tank. I have worked on every other tank in my room, but this one, so this is what I'm up to. I've just started recently clearing out some plants, selling some different things I don't need to make room for other things. And I plan on getting some more inhabitants for this, maybe some nicer, some sort of schooling fish. If you have a suggestion, feel free to let me know. But yeah, going through the plants in here, God, it's a mess. There's a huge Amazon sword in this back right corner that is throwing out pups. So there's lots of those spread around. I'm trying to sell them. There's not really much interest for Amazon sword from what I've realized, so I don't really know about that. Throughout the rest of the tank, you can see that there's a jungle val completely, it's covered the whole back of the wood, and then on the wood there's Borbitis, there's Java fern, there's a couple different other ferns, there's Trident in here, and there's, I think, Thor's hammer fern or something like that in here as well. There's needle leaf and there's regular Java fern, so there's one of each. The base has Blixia, and it had it planted, but the fish stirred it up when I was removing them, so the bottom looks really bad at the moment. I filled out this whole section with needle leaf and they pulled it all out too, so it all needs to just be redone. There's bits of Anubias in here as well, so there's some nice healthy pieces, but this tank just took a little bit of a beating. There was a nice amount of stems on this side and they've all been ripped out, and half of them died because they were ripped to pieces. So it sort of sucked. I was trying to just get these fish out and it didn't work out as good as I wanted it to. Sadly, the neons all have neon disease, or however you put it, neon tetra disease, so I'm kind of just letting them live out their days in here and they can pass away in peace, but it sort of sucks that way. There might be some sort of treatment for them, I don't really know. Other than that, there's just random scattered plants throughout here. Probably a bunch of things I've forgotten about. There's definitely a Wendy Brown crypt in this corner because I can see the leaf of it. But it's all just completely spread out across the tank now. I ended up changing the filter from the hang on the back I had before to this air pump. It does about 1100 liters an hour, so it's quite good for the tank. It has a pump that goes down the left and the back. The back and the front, but it's kind of cut off at the back, you can sort of see. This tank just has a lot of stuff that needs to be done. These Echinodoros fancy twists, I want to sell them, so they're not staying around. I'm just currently just holding things until I get rid of the majority of it and I can rescape the tank properly. Now growing out of this tank, we have marble, queen, pothos, along with golden. They're both growing out of here. Annoyingly enough, I haven't really been able to hold them both in place, so they keep falling out. At least one of them does, so it's kind of annoying. But I like the vibe of that around my tanks, so I've also got other things. This has not been doing too well. This is golden. I don't know why. I watered it and it's got a pot underneath to stop it from going bad, but just being a big pain. There's also pearl and jade, so this one's doing really nice. And behind that is Philodendron Brazil. So then going down here, this one here, I forgot the name of it. It's a philodendron, but it's growing in a pot and I like this one. So that's on my this rack, sorry. Now I also have this setup that I did a bit ago and it's actually growing. I don't have anywhere to put for light for it at the moment, but it is growing. I just slipped it. I've got a torch that I'm using to show you. But it has snails in here and that's it. So that's that little setup on the side. There's one on the other side that also needs a light, so I'm trying to figure something out for those. This is a piece of seed and pothos I'm trying to grow. Starting from the bottom of the rack, I have my 3 shrimp tanks. They're all Kmart tanks, so they're 20 liters each, 36 wide, 36 long, 20 something wide. The first tank is housing my snowball shrimp. So I've been working hard on trying to make all these tanks look a lot more presentable. This one's been done. These two are still a work in progress. So you can see a lot better in here. I have willow moss with snowball shrimp. So if it'll focus, we have quite a few of these at the moment. I'm doing really well at breeding them. And I also have, it's also housing my Madaka rice fish at the moment. So I have oranges and blues in here at the moment. The fry are kind of growing up alongside of baby snowballs. You can sort of see that one. Moving on to the second tank, I have been letting this kind of just drain so then I can do a water change and get more water volume. But this is the Bloody Mary. This tank is thriving when it comes to the shrimp. They're doing amazing, they always are. But it's kind of a big mess when it comes to the plants. I'm still organizing. There's so much different types of moss in here. It's like 4 or 5 types mixed into this bundle. So I'm kind of trying to organize that at the moment. The camera's struggling to focus today. There's also a variegated Anubias. It's like the longer type leaf one in here as well. But this just isn't really sorted yet. I'm working on this tank at the moment. But the shrimp are doing well, which is always the best part. I don't really mind the other things. If they're doing good, I'm happy. Now the third tank are my yellows, and here right now I have sort of sorted. So there's a type of Physidens moss that's growing on this sort of mesh pad. It's doing decently well. I have a piece of Bobitis in here, a small piece. And I've culled the yellows a lot, so there's not many in here, but the ones that are somewhat decent compared to what I had. And there's a bunch of babies that are still in here that I'm waiting to grow up, but the amount of these guys dropped drastically when I culled them, so I'm trying to just get the numbers back up and keep culling to get the best quality shrimp I can get. But that's this tank. For anyone that's curious, that's just no ID boost. That didn't do too well. When I received it, it looked terrible, so I'm trying to see if the rhizomes will grow anything. And that at the back there should be Trident Fern. Now moving up into my other 2 foot that's also doing really well at the moment. Coming on to the right side, we have a lot of ambulia. I started with 1 stem of this my mate gave me, and I planted probably 20 stems in here just around this side. You guys saw when I set this up, and it's been about 2 weeks, and the explosion of plants is obvious. There's a couple of other different types of stems in here. This is mind blank Bacopa, I'm fairly sure. This one right here, I don't know what that one is, I got given that. I forget the name of this. It's some sort of stem plant, and I don't remember the name of that long leaf one either. A couple of other different types of plants in here too. So there's 2 different crypts right here. Both of them are maiden, rose and maiden, I think that's what they're called. There's also a Pokestem and Hellfairy, so there's 2 of these. They aren't looking too great. I received them this way, so it's been like a couple days since I got them. I'm gonna try to grow them out and hopefully they get a bit better looking. This is more Lilipus, or however you say it. Then there's crypts going down the side here. So there's an Aura crypt, and then there's Wenty green and brown going throughout the side. There's Bulbitis right there. There's a couple more stems at the back. I'm fairly sure that's a Rotala, but I don't remember what I bought it as. I think it's Rotala. Throughout here we have Pinto. This one's more of a green. It's not really that variegated, but you can see a bit of that white variegation. I cut off the main white variegation for the other tank, but I'm hoping that the new leaves on this look a bit better. This is a Anubias nana with a new leaf, which is awesome. So that's one Anubias nana right there. I'm fairly sure I need to put 1 on here. Then there's also Peanut a feeder, which is doing really well. Looks really nice in here. There's a couple of no ID stems I can't remember the names of, back all the way at the back. Ludwigia as well, I think. Bacopa purple. I have a really rough stem of it that's taken a beating, but I'm hoping it will grow in. And then there's a couple of different Trident, I think, ferns in here as well. But this tank is still growing in, but I'm really liking the look of it. The tank's light is nothing special. It's just a cheap one off online. And the filter is sponge at the back. It's just like the one in my shrimp tank, the exact same type, but just in here. So the inhabitants of this are my blue ricefish Medaka, blue stardust, or however you want to put it. And there's orange in here, oranges, and there's some sort of tigers. So this one's kind of a tiger. You can kind of see that, like a black marking on it. I have orange sun-kissed shrimp in here as well. I don't have many, but I have a couple. I have 7 super red bristlenose at the moment in here as well. Might get lucky and find the male in his cave. Yep, there you go. The male's been chilling in there for a while, so I'm hoping that those guys breed soon. Let's a better look at the orange sun-kissed. But this is all the adults of the ricefish, and then the babies, I take the eggs from here and I move them into other tanks where I hatch them. I also have a couple of the albino bristlenose in here, and there's a few in here as well I forgot to point out. But there's a couple in here as well. But I have them in both of these tanks. But that's these tanks basically fully spoke about. Hope you guys enjoyed those parts. Now for the Caridina tank, that is doing super well. So the flame moss has grown in really nicely. There's always a problem with algae on the front glass. I wipe it off, it comes back, wipe it off, comes back. It's kind of annoying, but hopefully the tank balances out and it fixes itself. So this is ADA Amazonia, the gold type. Anyone that's seen my Caridina video, you'll understand what this is. These were off of Amazon. It was like 12 bucks, I think, for the both of them. Both have Amazonia gold in them. This is the same sponge filter that looks like this from the top. I've kind of just let the algae grow in here. It's doing really well. This is an Agazu sword. That's Wendy green. This is a no ID boost. They're all the plants in here, basically. Looking at the top, all these babies are stardust, ricefish, and maybe a couple golds. All the eggs are on the sponge. I have dogs and they kind of just tend to get their bloody hair in all the tanks, which is really annoying. I always have to take it out, but you can see the eyes on the eggs, which is really sick. I have the smaller ones in here. These are like hatchlings, probably a couple days old. They're next to all of my Caridina. So my Caridina are actually looking really nice at the moment. I have quite a few. They always tend to hide in this back corner too. Behind everything, you can see them all back there through the tank. But that's the Caridina tank. The light's nothing special, it's something off of eBay. It's just whatever I can use to grow, which is always the best for me, so that's what I go with. But yeah, I'm hoping to get babies in here soon. I have a buried female that's been buried for almost a month, so I'm waiting for those babies, and there'll be a update video of just the Caridina tank coming out really soon, so I hope you guys will be excited for that. Now this jar's also doing really well. I kind of skipped over it. You can kind of see inside. It's been getting just a little bit of light from this tank on the left here. I don't really have anywhere to put them to get them more direct light like I said with the other one, but the plants aren't dying. They're all slow growers, so I don't really have any issues. It's just more they're sitting aside, they're not filtrated, and they're just chilling. There's no inhabitants in either of them really. I think there might be a couple of wild shrimp in here from like Aussie wild shrimp in that one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of in-depth tour of all of my tanks in my setup at the moment. Like I said, it's always an in-depth kind of thing with me. I try to just point out as much as I can, but I always forget things, so I probably definitely forgot something. But I try to explain everything the best as I can. The wood types, I have no clue. I think spider wood, maybe. It's probably my best guess. The type of soil I want to say is master soil in most of the tanks. That's just cheap gravel from the pet store, black gravel, and yeah, that's pretty much all the substrate I have in all my tanks, and that's 88 gold. Master soil, master soil. But yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions for lights, something I could try for, like, other than this slim for the big tank, let me know. I'm definitely getting the slim for this one, but I don't know if that's probably the best idea for this one. Maybe I can find something else. This whole tank's gonna stay how it is, but the inhabitants, I'm eventually moving into a 4-foot as tank's too small. The 3-spot gourami's down, which is awesome. There he is. But yeah, tank's too small for them, for the size fish they are. So they need an upgrade eventually, and I'm gonna be giving them that. Just I need to move out and find space first. But we're definitely gonna be setting up a 4-foot in the future. It'll be sick. But like I always say, feel free to leave a comment of a suggestion, or just say something really kind to me. That I love reading those kind of comments. It really motivates me to edit my videos and stuff. I don't like editing as much. It's more I like to speak about this stuff. I'm not really good at the editing side of things, so it's kind of a struggle. That's why I don't like it. But I do love the motivation when I get a message from you guys on YouTube. It's really sick, so I really like that kind of stuff. I really appreciate when you guys say all those kind of things. It's really, really nice and heartfelt, so I like that kind of stuff. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this. These tanks will be set up in future. It's just me trying to find the fish for them. I just found the fish for this one, so I'm super excited for that video. I am getting a tapestry mogul, and I'm getting a breeding trio, so that's gonna be sick. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed my tanks. This isn't all of my stuff. I have ponds outside too with other fish, more rice fish mainly, but I won't be doing them in this video as this is just tanks. Hope you guys enjoyed the video though. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave any suggestions down below. I'll catch you guys later, everybody. Bye bye.